Well, hello, this is Bob Odell with Root Source, and behind the camera is my friend and partner, Gidon Ariel. Say hi,
Hi,
Gidon.
everybody.
And to my left is someone who really needs no introduction at Root Source, Yehuda Glick, Minister of Knesset, friend of so many. Great to see you today.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the symbol of Israel's democracy, symbol of Israel's sovereignty, symbol of Israel's independence, which is something that every single day we have to remind ourselves is not something we can take for granted.
Amen.
It's definitely a miracle, a fulfillment of prophecy.
Amen. So we had the honor of filming you in probably your first week in the Knesset. When that shift happened and you got placed,
Right.
and you were just establishing your office. I think it's been about 2 years.
2.5
Is that
years.
correct? 2.5. So what have those last 2.5 years been like for you as a person?
Well, I never had any plans of developing any political career, and therefore I still don't have any plans of developing a political career. But since he put me here, I try to continue doing what I was doing before, but now as an official representative of the State of Israel, and that's something very, very significant. I have a dialogue with humanity all over the world. Jews, Christians, Muslims, who trying to connect that message, but not anymore as a private person, but as an official representative of the State of Israel, getting people to connected to the Jerusalem covenant. I want to remind you, though it may seem like it was many, many ages ago, but when we met two and a half years ago, moving an embassy to Jerusalem sounded like something impossible. And here we are today, almost a year, little over half a year since the American embassy has moved to Jerusalem. There hasn't been a third world war, and many more countries are speaking about moving their embassies to Jerusalem. And the world is beginning to recognize, in the 70th year, as I always say, my faith is not so great, not so big, to believe in coincidences. I only analyze things rationally. When I analyze them rationally, the only explanation I have is God and miracles. And these are things that are happening when 70 is the number that the Bible teaches us that represents the number of the nations and the relationship between the nations and the people of Israel. The 70th year, Cyrus gives permission to build Jerusalem. There are 70 nations and there are 70 descendants of Jacob. And the idea of the connection, and that happened here in the 70th year of the State of Israel. 3 weeks ago I was in Berlin, marking 80th year of Kristallnacht. Look where we were 80 years ago. Today we're arguing about one-state solution, two-state solution. 80 years ago they would talk about the final solution.
That was not really funny, but it's...
But I was standing in front of a crowd of 1,000 Christians who were actually singing Shema Yisrael. 80 years ago, when we sang Shema Yisrael, we were crying, and now we see these people saying Shema Yisrael, admiring Israel. Last week, I had the same thing. I was in front of 2,000 people in Latvia. Riga, 2,000 believers, Christian believers, praising God. Next week, I'm going to be in Brussels, another group of several hundred people, praising God. And these are things that, once again, we take them for granted. I don't take them for granted. And I see them happening, and we're going to see them happening in the Muslim world as well, because the world is beginning to recognize Jerusalem and he who chose the people of Israel and he who chose Jerusalem.
You know, the viewers that we have at Root Source really connect with you. Whenever we speak to you, it's one of the most popular segments we have. I think it's got to have something to do with what you just said. I mean, you could have said anything about the last 2 years. You pick a few examples from the Christian world of saying how the world has changed. It means so much to us that you're willing to notice these things.
Look, first of all, I hope your followers are interested in God and not in Yehuda Glick. I'm here. I don't know if your camera is a very good enough camera, but if you can look carefully, you'll see there's a string here being pulled on top there. And everything I do is in his hands. And I'm here for his sake. And we're trying to do it all for him. And the idea of connecting, and here I am in the Knesset, I'm part of the Christian Allies Caucus. I'm part of the dialogue between Israel and the Jewish diaspora, which is also in some kind of a crisis these days. I'm involved in very much in many things that do with values.
Yeah.
I'm involved here in dealing with trying to promote family values, which unfortunately in the past few years we see how it's really being affected in the world, and the amount of divorces, violence in the family, the number of issues to do with things that are not clear, how the importance of values are. And these are things that we must put on our table. I'm involved here in trying to save lives. I'm involved here in promoting laws to do with an EpiPen allergy shot that should be in every available in every school and every restaurant. I'm involved in fighting smoking, which is killing so many people on a daily basis. I'm trying to support the supporting women who are just for financial reasons or want to do abortions, and we're trying to give them the cover them with love. All of these things are things that can be done here in the Knesset, and I'm trying to do them.
And they're tangible. But you say that as you're doing them, you feel a connection. You are doing a political job, but you're doing it underneath heaven.
Look, I pointed out, I spoke about before, about the moving of the embassy. One of the things that the Israeli press couldn't get over was that why the heck, at an event of moving an embassy, which is supposed to be a political event, were there religious leaders speaking there? And people who don't understand the concept in Israel, in the world of God, politics is not just politics. It's part of a spiritual change happening in the world. It's part of my religious world. The state of Israel is not just another state in the map of states of the world. In my eyes, it's a religious, godly, biblical phenomena. We are writing the next chapters of the Bible. And we see it happening, and therefore I always say, take the Bible, open it, and walk around Israel, not to see what happened thousands of years ago. See what's happening today, where Israel is becoming a world interest. There are more op-eds about Israel in the press daily than there are about this tiny little country called China. There are more op-eds daily in the world, and who are we? We're a country you can't find with a magnifying glass on the globe. But the president of the United States, the leader of Russia, the leaders of Japan and China are on a daily based contact with our prime minister, and I think we have a wonderful prime minister, but not because of his character, but because of what he represents. Israel is the only place in the world where you're taking seawater and turning it into drinking water. It's a place where so many miracles are happening, where the world of communication is changing. Yeah. Where when we're a light to the nations, when we're needed in Asia or in Africa or in South America, Latin America, all of these things, if you look at them only in an eyes of a newspaper that deals with gossip, then you're missing the whole thing. Only if you look at it from the eyes of eternity, you see that politics of the world, especially when you're looking at Israel, is a godly event. So when I'm here today, every single day I say to Hashem, God, please make sure, help me, God forbid, not to designate your name, but to sanctify your name. And whatever I do, every meeting I'm sitting, whether I'm saving lives, I'm not just doing a private mission. It's what the Torah teaches us. The only command that appears in each one of the 5 books of the Torah is the command of saving lives. Way before Noah came, Hashem said, "He who pours somebody else's blood."
All right.
Already in chapter in Genesis, that is an obligation we have as human beings.
Wow.
To protect lives.
Wow.
And therefore, the Torah, there is no command that's beyond saving lives. Shabbat, you sanctify Shabbat by desecrating it in order to save someone's lives.
Yeah.
And saving lives is what we're all about. And when we see something that every hour in Israel, one person dies from smoking, it's the biggest killer by far. Wars, car accidents, and all the other things you have together don't reach a quarter of what cigarette is killing people in the world, and we have to stop it. And that's something that I feel that it's not a political issue. This is an obligation given to me by God.
Wow. I think one of the things that you represent for Christians is the idea of coming into a political environment, carrying that connection from God. I think that there are viewers that have asked themselves, I wonder if I could do that. I wonder if I could step into a more of a political. So I've got a question for you. What, over the last 2.5 years, what has been personally the best thing about this job, and what has been the worst thing about this job? We hope you've been enjoying our conversation with Yehuda Glick. We will continue and come back in another segment. Until then, shalom.